and we are in the 49th episode of CC Friday, Champions of Change. And today we have amidst us Ms. Bala Saraswati Nair, who, if you Google her out, you'll get plethora of information about her and how she's contributing not to a particular school or a state, but across the country and the world. Bala Saraswati Nair, she's an acclaimed online remedial coach, training teachers and parents who work for children with learning disability through online courses on her e-coaching platform called LD Remedial World and Udemy. She has 25 years of experience in leadership roles at mainstream schools across ICSE, CBSE, SSC, IB, and NIOS boards with the responsibility of having tutored 12,000 children. It really is very, very commendable. She has 10 years of experience in inclusive education as founder, director of Vedas Education, Schooling Without Boundaries. She has 10 years of experience as Director of Training for Inclusive Educator in Vedas Ignite Academy for Inclusive Education. She has been the Managing Trustee of Priyas Charitable Foundation, which supports children with special needs and low socio-economic strata in Gujarat. She has trained teachers, as I mentioned earlier, across the world for more than 101 countries. I think before I proceed further, she needs a loud applause for what she has been doing, especially children
Thank you.
with in special needs. She has addressed and was a very sought after speaker at the Vibrant Gujarat Forum. She's a daughter of a retired army officer, daughter of a retired army officer, sorry, and sister of two serving army generals, wife of a loving and supportive husband, without whom I know, without Mohan Bhai's support, she wouldn't be where she is. Uh, and she has a very sweet daughter whom I know personally, who is a clinical psychologist today. The feather in her cap is she's the recipient of 3 state, 5 national, and 3 international awards. So we are indeed privileged and honored to have you, Bala, today here with us. And I'm sure teachers from the 3 campuses, which are sister concerns, DPS Varanasi, our senior most school, followed by Nasik and DPS Lava Nagpur. We have 2 principals here in this meet, Mr. Mukesh Shailat from Varanasi and principal of DPS Lava Nagpur, Mrs. Anupama Sagdev, and teachers, 200 plus teachers in this meet. I'm sure they all are looking forward to this session and you'll be able to add a lot of learning to them. And this subject is very, very sensitive and much needed in today's scenario, and more so especially after the pandemic, where children are suffering from so many psychological disorders and they need a lot of handholding. The mission of our sister schools is to reach out to every learner. And when we say every learner, we do not differentiate children as per their learning capacity. But yes, something different needs to be done for them in the class. So everybody is treated in the mainstream. And no other person I feel in the country could have done justice to this topic as you could have. So we are really honored and privileged to have you. The platform is yours. Uh, at the this session will be there till 5:30, so we will give you the time to talk, say about till 5:20, so that at least some question answers session can be conducted. Teachers, I'm sure, will be lot of they'll have a lot of inquisitiveness and questions after you talk to them. So I would certainly want you to address their queries. Over to you, Bala.
Thank you so much. Am I audible and visible both?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So I'm really grateful to connect with 200 beautiful souls who I'm sure will be able to touch somewhere, who are going to bring an impact in the lives of children. I'm very, very happy to reconnect with Pushpi ma'am on the same platform. I go back to the year 2000 in the month of May when both of us were sitting outside an office waiting for our interviews. We start our journey there. So I know her for the last 22 years, both of us applying for a job, not knowing who's going to get it. But for our good luck, we both got it. We worked together. It was a wonderful experience, and we had our own journeys to depart and move ahead. So thank you, Pushpi ma'am, once again to help me to be here to connect with all of you. Thank you for all that you said about me. I am doing a very, very, very small work against the kind of work that needs to be done. I have not even done anything. It's just a drop in the ocean. For a country like India, where there are 35 million children struggling with only with learning disabilities, we have done nothing, to be honest. And I'm on a mission to help 1 lakh teachers and parents who can bring change in the lives of these children, because these kids are highly intelligent. Thank you for the two principals who are going to dedicate their next 40 minutes listening to me. And I'm sure you're going to implement a lot of strategies. This is a topic which is very close to my heart. I can speak about it non-stop for a month, but I'm given only 30 minutes. So I hope I do justice to the journey that I've had with these kids, the trainings that I've given to the teachers, and the quickest and fastest ways to identify such children in your classroom. Let me make it very, very clear and important to you that today every classroom has these kids. And with inclusive education as the policy for in the new education policy, I think it's not the duty of the the special educators or counselors anymore. It's the responsibility of every teacher in every school to identify such kids and help them within the classroom, which is highly possible. I would love to share my presentation, but I am not very comfortable with Google Meet. I am a Zoom person. So somebody will have to guide me what to click. Okay, is it entire screen, window, or tab? I will need the guidance on that.
Ma'am, you can use the tab.
Okay, I need to do the tab. Where's this thing on?
Have you opened the presentation, ma'am?
Yeah, my presentation is open.
Okay.
This is open, but this thing is missing now. Okay, so here I go. Select the tab. It doesn't show. That's the whole thing.
Ma'am, if it is a PowerPoint, then you need to choose window.
I'm sorry?
If it is PowerPoint presentation, then you need to choose window.
Okay, then I need to choose window. Okay. A window, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Great. Thank you. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's coming up.
Yes.
Thank you. Because now only my presentation is visible to me and nothing else. So I don't know whether if you respond something. All right. So we're going to have a 30 minutes by me. Time starts now. I'm a sports person, so I'm very particular about the time factor. And after that, I'll give you 15 minutes more. 15 minutes time to ask me questions. In 30 minutes, whatever best I can share, I would. So we talk so much about inclusive education in the last 3 years more, and last 2 years all the more. What is an inclusive education, or what is an inclusive teacher? I'm sure you've been having many workshops on this. So I'm not here to highlight this, but what is expected of a teacher is to cover these 5 areas. That means you have to address the needs of children of the majorly these 5 areas as per the new education policy. That is female and transgender, children from these backgrounds, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, children from villages, towns. I have no idea if BPS addresses them. I'm sure you have a segment for children of these areas too. Children from migrant communities, and the last one is the most important, that is children falling under various disabilities. As per the RPWD Act, all of you must be knowing that 21 children from 21 disabilities are now allowed to be admitted in regular school as per 2016, and already admissions are happening across the country. Maybe parents are still not aware, but you cannot deny admissions for any children falling in this category. Now, my question to all of you is, are there enough special educators in our country to address this? There aren't, because the universities are not producing special educators. The number of special educators produced against the number of children available is huge. So huge that one of the articles in Chandigarh newspaper said there are one special educator to 516 special needs children. How on earth is one special educator going to address this problem? Number two, a special educator is somebody who specializes in any one disability, not all. So if there are special educators in all these three schools, I'm sure you know that they specialize either in visual impairment or hearing impairment or intellectual disability or some other disability. So does that teacher know to address the problems of all the children? I really doubt. And there's too much for them to address. So what happens to all of them in that case? Will their problems be ever addressed completely? I have no answers to these questions. I have only questions so that it excites and ignites us that yes, we can do. Here, today, we're going to talk about the red mark, and that is the area of learning disability. So if this is the latest statistics of children admitted in regular schools already,
Ma'am,
orthopedic, am I audible and visible?
you are visible, ma'am. Slide is not changing. You're on the first slide right now.
This is the 5th slide then.
But we can see the first slide only.
Oh, and now?
Yes, ma'am.
Now also?
This is 24th slide we can see right now.
And now?
25th.
You can see that?
25th. It is 25th right now it's showing.
Yeah, I know. And this? Can
21.
you read out the slide?
21 disabilities.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So these are the 21 disabilities which the children of these 21 disabilities are expected to admit in our school. Let me ask all of you, how many of you know even the names of them? Or maybe you know the names of them. Do you know how to identify them? That's the challenge. It's no more a segment left to counselors or special educators. It's the responsibility of each one of us today. I have changed the slide. Can you see it? No
Yes,
or
ma'am.
yes? Yes.
No,
All
ma'am.
right.
Oh, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
There.
Enrollment of children. Is it right?
No, ma'am.
It is still 20. Now it's changed.
Okay,
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
Ma'am, it is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
on the presentation mode.
Enrollment of children by
Sorry.
nature.
Yeah, all right, great. So I'll request one of you to help me to update that I'm going on the right slide. So if you look at this particular graph, 1% of children in India are orthopedic impairment enrolled, not are enrolled in school. Now, what's 1% in India for a population of, oh my God, so many crores? And look at the last one. 33% of children with specific learning disabilities exist in our schools. 33 in a class is 1/3 of a class. How many of us know this? I've changed the slide. So we're going to talk about what is learning disability and what are the ways you can identify them. Slide changed. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So learning disability, the first and foremost thing that we all need to remember is these kids have normal IQ just like you and me. So if they are normal in their brain, what's wrong with them? The problem with them is inability to read, write, spell, or do mathematics. If you all can go back to that movie Tare Zameen Par, you'll be able to relate it very well with the child. So the next question comes, how did it happen to the child? What is the cause? So till now, there has been no specific cause mentioned. So there are, the research says it could be due to hereditary. Somewhere in the family, somebody had it. It could be due to teratogenic problems, that is medicines taken at the time of pregnancy or some impact of it in the human embryo of a pregnant woman. It could be due to some medicines consumed at the time of pregnancy or post-pregnancy too. And it also could be because of a very poor environment for learning. It doesn't matter where and how it happens. That's not the cause of a teacher. For a teacher, it's like, what do I do with it? So, as I mentioned, all of you must be already knowing that IQ is measured with some scales. Our children, I'm talking about learning disability, is a slide of scale you can see, IQ classification.
Yeah.
Great. So the children who fall in learning disability have the IQ of 90 to 109. That's average IQ. Anybody falling below that doesn't fall under learning disability, and everybody falling above that can have, not everybody, but children who have reading problem may fall in the IQ above this, which means these kids can be highly intelligent but miserable at reading, at writing, and maths. So you will wonder, how does it happen? And that happens because of the way their brain is designed. So now let me tell you what are the different types. There are many, but majorly it's categorized under 4 headers. First is dyslexia, which is a problem with reading or language. Second is dyscalculia, which is a problem with maths, not able to understand the different symbols, signs, numbers, computations, theorems, complications. Number 3 is dysgraphia, problems in writing. And number 4 is dyspraxia, which is problems in motor coordination, could be fine motor or gross motor. So a child can have 1, 2, 3, or all 4, or maybe only 2, or any 2. So when you have all 4, imagine the condition of the child. Can't read, can't write, can't do maths, and can't even move things. But still, he's intelligent. He can think. He can create amazing things. So why should we miss out on helping these kids? So there are various ways you can assess the child. So I categorize this assessment in 2 modes. Assessment in 2 ways. One which is done professionally by a psychologist, and the one which you as teachers can do in the classroom. So there are 2, informal and formal. So under the informal assessment, the role is majorly played by the parent or the teacher. And the formal assessment is done by a clinical psychologist. So how do you do an informal assessment? When you watch a child in primary, pre-primary, middle school, or senior school, unable to read age appropriate, there could be many reasons why a child cannot read. It could be even due to the online classes today. But if you help the child to read, the child improves. But there are many children, in spite of helping the child to read, the child doesn't. He keeps on struggling with few alphabets, especially reversal of words. I'll be talking more about it a little later. So one is the way the child reads. The one is the way the difficulty the child finds in writing. The other is such children have low self-esteem, though they have high intelligence. So the keen observation by the teacher can help you to identify that this child needs some kind of help. So the people who can actually identify are teachers, family members, counselors, or anybody who's very close to the child. So who does the formal assessment? It's supposed to be done only and only by a clinical psychologist. Done and a report submitted. So if as a teacher, if you feel that there's something lacking in this child, it's always advisable to go to your counselor and report about your observations and not label the child. It's the counselor's duty in a school to further take the story ahead to a clinical psychologist and get a proper report done. You will tell me this question because I've been asked this question by a million teachers till now, that ma'am, the parents are not ready to accept, and I know it. It doesn't matter. For a test, the parent may not agree, so it doesn't matter. But to help a child, nobody can stop you. So my answer is, if you know a child is struggling with something, you can make the difference. So what does a clinical psychologist do in a test need not be known to you. These are all the different kind of tests that is done to identify whether the child has dyslexia. The tests done to find out if the child has dysgraphia. The tests done to find out if the child has dyscalculia. I'm not going in detail with these because it's irrelevant to you. What's relevant to you is, how do you assess a child if the child is able to read or not? This reading problem is not limited to preschool or primary or limited only to middle school. No, I have kids, majority of them coming to me in my center when they are age 13 or 14, because till then it was ignored. By the time they reach class 9th and it's time for admission and registration for board exam, I'm sorry to say most of the schools don't want these kids because the school's results will be bad. Hence, they tell the parents that your child cannot cope up. you should look out for some other alternative, discontinue schooling. And this is how I've got maximum number of children joining my institution who are in ninth, but whose academic level or reading level would be grade 2 or grade 3. So now the parent wants, kindly pass my child as early as you can. And the child has an average level of, I mean, the gap is about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, sometimes even 8 years. Still, with all the strategies which I taught my teachers, all my kids have done very well in class 10 and 12, and today they are very, very successful in their lives. So which means what? Had this been taken care of at an early age, the child need not have to leave school and look out for an alternative option like an open schooling system. So what do you do to assess the child? Find out how the child reads, whether he is missing some alphabets, whether the child is overlooking some alphabets or making the same mistake while reading for the same word in the same page. They're all the caution signs. These kids don't understand punctuation marks. For them, there's no comma, full stop, exclamation mark. They just read as though it doesn't exist in the book. There's a lot of confusion in directions. These kids have problem with identifying left and right. They sometimes get lost in the pathway in the class, around the classroom or outside in the corridor. They even enter the wrong classes sometimes. So what happens actually in the brain? We all think reading is very easy because probably for all of us, reading happened very naturally. But let me tell you, reading never happens naturally. There's a lot of effort done by our brain for reading to happen. And this effort is done because all these lobes have to work together. Different lobes have different responsibilities like speech, language, letter. All of them work independently but in sync. Only when this work in sync, मतलब ये ब्रेन के सारे पुर्जे अलग अलग होते हुए भी साथ में जब काम करते हैं तब जाके रीडिंग होता है. और अगर ये साथ में काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, जिसको तारे जमीन पर मूवी में कहा गया है वायरिंग प्रॉब्लम, जब ये वायरिंग में प्रॉब्लम है तब बच्चा रीडिंग नहीं कर पाता है, क्योंकि जब वो वर्ड बोल रहा है एंड ही कैन नॉट कनेक्ट इट विद अ साउंड, ही इज स्टक एज टू व्हाट इज द साउंड ऑफ द वर्ड. Could you see the brain image? I forgot to ask this question. Are you all able to see the next slide? Reading brain?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And the next slide is changed. Done?
No,
The
ma'am.
slide. Okay.
Yes, now it is changed.
Okay. So I have to go back to this every time. Fine. So now comes to the writing problem. So there are kids in any classroom who will, एक तो होता है खराब लिखना, because they don't want to write. They are not kids who don't want to write. They are kids who are not able to write. इन दोनों में बहुत फर्क होता है. So their pencil grip will be poor. Their alphabet will be reverse. क्योंकि all of you know pre-primary में alphabet सिखाने का एक particular तरीका होता है. Alphabet A हो या P हो या Z हो. Every alphabet has a starting and an ending point. लेकिन ये बच्चे कहीं से भी स्टार्ट करेंगे और कहीं पे भी एंड करेंगे. For them it doesn't make a difference because उनको वो instructions नहीं मिलते. ऐसे लिखेंगे तो इनका essay एक पैराग्राफ के बराबर होगा. If they do, they'll start with cursive, they will jump to print, from print to cursive. There's no meaning for them to how they write. No punctuations. They don't have enough vocabulary. They use the same words again and again. उनके synonyms, antonyms, उसमें भी काफी उन्हें confusion रहता है. Not because they're not intelligent. These kids are very, very intelligent, but they are not getting the instruction from their brain. और उनकी speed of writing तो बहुत ही poor होती है. Now let me come to maths. Maths, unfortunately or fortunately, is difficult for a lot of people. Not because maths is difficult, because the way it is taught is difficult. This is what my research says. Now, the beauty is, I don't know why the math symbols are so similar. Plus and into look the same for a child with learning disability. Minus and division look the same. अगर वो dots हटा दिया division से तो वो तो minus के बराबर हो गया. So because वो overlook करता है not intentionally, but उसको दिखता ही ऐसा है, and that's why they make so many mistakes. So they have problem with computation skills. They have problem with identifying numbers. उन्हें number 4, number 7 लगता है. ऐसे बहुत सारे numbers और alphabets है जो उन्हें उल्टा दिखता है, which is called letter reversals or word reversals. Also, they have difficulty in reading questions क्योंकि उनको dyslexia है. They cannot read the problem sums. So they are definitely cannot solve the problem sum. So हम कई बार नोट करते हैं कि मैम सम दो तो बच्चा कर लेता है लेकिन प्रॉब्लम दो तो नहीं करता. प्रॉब्लम सम्स इज स्टेटमेंट सम्स. वो इसलिए नहीं करता बिकॉज स्टेटमेंट सम्स में पढ़ना पड़ता है और मुझे पढ़ने में बहुत तकलीफ है. सो आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द स्टेटमेंट सम वांट्स, बट द मिनट द टीचर एक्सप्लेन्स the sum to him, the child gets the idea and he's able to solve the sums. That means he's intelligent. Please remember this again and again. The child is intelligent. He needs help. So these are the main ways you can identify such children in your classroom. And now let me talk to you about the facts of learning disability. What do you mean by facts? इन बच्चों को जनरली हम स्कूल में और घर में कुछ कॉमन नाम से पहचाने जाते हैं, जैसे ये लेजी है, ये डम है, ये स्टूपिड है, ये इडियट है. आई एम सॉरी टू यूज these वर्ड्स बट दिस आर द मोस्ट कॉमन वर्ड्स. मैंने खुद ने सुना है और शायद जब मुझे इसके बारे में पता नहीं था मैं खुद ये यूज कर चुकी होंगी. I found that boy is very lazy. कितने बार बताने से भी वो नहीं करता. And I've been a very strict principal myself. So I'm sure I would have punished a lot of children with my ignorance. But it's in that insight when I got that what is this? I think I'm doing wrong. ये बच्चों के साथ injustice हो रहा है. That was a time I decided to resign my job and shift to doing a research on learning disability. So ये बच्चे, as I said, is got average and above average intelligence. They are very gifted. इनको भगवान ने कुछ extraordinary quality दिया है. मैं 300 बच्चों के साथ काम कर चुकी हूँ personally. और इन सारे 300 बच्चों में मैंने देखा है there's something great which I don't have and many people like me do not have. So as a teacher, my job is to help him in what he's weak in and strengthen him in what God has given him. जैसे कोई म्यूजिक में अच्छा होता है, कोई ड्रम्स में अच्छा होता है, कोई स्पोर्ट्स में अच्छा होता है, कोई आर्ट में अच्छा होता है, कोई साइंस लर्निंग में अच्छा होता है. शायद वो साइंस लिख नहीं पाता है लेकिन वो साइंस मुझसे ज्यादा समझ पाता है. So there's something great about these kids, and if we focus on that greatness, we can make each of these child amazing performers. So many children with attention deficit hyperactive, जिसको बोलते हैं ADHD, जो आजकल एक कॉमन सा लैंग्वेज हो गया है हर पेरेंट और टीचर के लिए. मेरा बच्चा हाइपर है. आई डोंट नो, दिस वर्ड इज यूज्ड सो मच लाइक कोविड. एवरी चाइल्ड इज नॉट ADHD, पर उसको आज टर्मिनोलॉजी मिल गई है कि वो ADHD है. So such children, because of lack of attention, they can also have learning disability issues. So हम ये समझते हैं कि ये बच्चे they don't work enough, but let me tell you honestly, their brain works 5 times harder than yours and mine. हम कोई वर्ड को एक बार देखते तुरंत पढ़ लेते हैं और वो लोग बहुत एफर्ट करते हैं उस वर्ड पढ़ने के लिए, इसलिए उनका ब्रेन 5 times harder it works. And that is why after they read a sentence or a two or a small paragraph, they say, मैं थक गया, can I take a break? Because their brain gets exhausted. It's not, learning disability is not the same as autism or visual impairment or physical disability. बाकी सब में हो सकता है IQ normal नहीं हो, but definitely इसमें इनका IQ normal होता है. तो जब बच्चा पढ़ नहीं पा रहा है, लिख नहीं पा रहा है, अपने क्लास लेवल की तरह परफॉर्म नहीं पा रहा है, तो उस बच्चे के साथ क्या होता है? A lot of noise. Can we get the audios off?
No, ma'am, that is clear.
Okay. So, what happens to them is we make fun of them. इनके दोस्त उसका मजाक उड़ाते हैं. तेरे को क्या 3rd standard का बुक पढ़ना नहीं आता, 6th का बुक पढ़ना नहीं आता, and we frequently do this. I'm not saying you do it. I'm not saying DPS do it. I'm saying because I've been working with teachers for the last 20 years. This is a very common sight. We blame them, we humiliate them, we make fun of them, we taunt them. तुम पढ़ तो सकते नहीं हो, तुम फुटबॉल क्या खेलोगे? So this is how we taunt them. And a frequency of this makes this child shattered, disturbed, depressed, and stops making attempt to read. और एक ऐसा स्टेज आ जाता है जब वो पढ़ता ही नहीं है, and then we declare इससे कुछ नहीं होगा, which is not true. So learning disability is not a बीमारी, it is not a disease. So there is no cure. बीमारी का क्योर होता है, but it is treatable. A child can be helped. अगर किसी भी टीचर के पास बहुत सारी स्ट्रैटेजी हो पढ़ाने के लिए, तो बच्चा आराम से सीख सकता है through those strategies, and that's exactly what I've done in last 15 years. आज मेरे बच्चे आर्किटेक्ट्स हैं, इंजीनियर्स हैं, प्रोफेसर्स हैं, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं, बिजनेसमैन हैं, थिएटर में हैं, आर्टिस्ट्स हैं, म्यूजिशियंस हैं. आई मीन कोई भी फील्ड बोलो, दीज किड्स आर डूइंग वेल. बट जब वो मेरे पास आए थे, वो सारे स्कूल के ड्रॉप आउट थे, सभी स्कूल में फेल थे, but today they are more successful than many others of their age. So these kids are generally right brain thinkers. वो right brain मतलब artistic ज़्यादा दिखे गए हैं, and they see things backward. Now, what are the emotional issues they face? As I said before, ये बच्चों के बहुत they have yeah, one sec. So they get into depression, especially जब वो टीनेज में आते हैं, उनका हार्मोनल इम्बैलेंस होता है, उनको रीडिंग नहीं आ रहा, वो रिपोर्ट कार्ड्स तो उनके बहुत ब्यूटीफुली हो जाते हैं तब तक. सो दे आर लाइक लो सेल्फ एस्टीम. और एक इंटेलिजेंट बच्चा जो समझता है उससे कुछ नहीं हो रहा, वो बार बार उसके साथ ऐसा होगा तो वो क्या करेगा? दो रास्ते हैं उसके पास. रास्ता एक, आत्महत्या. और ये सबसे ज्यादा हो रहा है इन बच्चों में कि मैं किसी चीज के लायक नहीं हूँ, ना मैं दोस्तों के साथ कुछ कर पाता हूँ, ना मेरे माँ बाप मुझे समझ पाते हैं, ना मेरे टीचर्स कुछ समझ पाते हैं. आई एम अ बर्डन ऑन दिस अर्थ, सो लेट मी कमिट सुसाइड. नंबर 2, और मैं ऐसे बहुत बच्चों को मिली हूँ जिन्होंने 1, 2, 3 टाइम्स सुसाइड अटेम्प्ट किया, लेकिन आज दे आर रॉकिंग इन देयर लाइफ. एंड नंबर 2 इज दे टेक अ रॉन्ग रूट, क्योंकि उन्हें क्लास में अटेंशन नहीं मिलता, घर पे अटेंशन नहीं मिलता, वो पढ़ाई के थ्रू अपने आप को प्रूव नहीं कर पाते. हमारे देश में जो अच्छा बच्चा पढ़ता है वो बच्चा अच्छा होता है, जो नहीं पढ़ता है वो बुरा होता है. इट्स ट्रू टिल टुडे, अनफॉर्चुनेटली. बिकॉज हम घर पे भी अनकॉन्शियसली अपने 2 बच्चों को कंपेयर करते हैं, हम बोलते ही ऐसे हैं. माई एल्डर सन इज वेरी गुड इन स्टडीज, माई सेकेंड वन इज ओके. वी आर नॉट इंट्रोड्यूसिंग देम एज 2 individuals. So this is when the child keeps listening to this over and over again, they realize I am okay, I am just okay, I'm not good enough. So what do? They start taking wrong directions, wrong according to society. That is drugs, sex, ये टीनेज की कहानियां हैं, या चोरी करना, छोटे छोटे ऐसे क्राइम करना जिससे बच्चे को अटेंशन मिलता है. And how do I know this? जब मैं अपना रिसर्च कर रही थी ऑन दिस टॉपिक, आई वॉज टोल्ड बाय द डॉक्टर्स टू गो एंड विजिट अ जुवेनाइल होम. मेरे शहर में मैं एक जुवेनाइल होम विजिट करने गई और वहां पे रिसर्च किया, तो मुझे ये बताया गया कि 96% ऑफ चिल्ड्रन जिनको लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी है वो सारे वहां पे हैं. मतलब जितने बच्चे हैं उनमें से 96% ऑफ देम हैड लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी. लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी का मतलब है बच्चा इंटेलिजेंट होता है. तो इंटेलिजेंट बच्चा क्राइम क्यों कर रहा है? वो इसलिए कर रहा है क्योंकि व्हेन ही डज गुड थिंग्स, he's unable to do those things which everybody wants him to do. So let me do things which he feels good about, and that's only crime. So as teachers, अगर मैं मेरे क्लास के इस बच्चे की मदद नहीं कर पा रही हूँ तो मैं अपने लिए खतरा पैदा कर रही हूँ. This is what I understood 15 to 18 years ago. अगर मैं इन बच्चों की मदद नहीं कर पाऊंगी तो मैं अपने कंट्री के लिए कुछ क्रिमिनल्स पैदा कर रही हूँ. Don't I have the right not to make that happen just by loving these kids and teaching them with right strategies? So you need right strategies. So to help you with right strategies, I'll spend my next 10 minutes in sharing about those strategies. Do you want those strategies? Then I can do it. आप में से कितने को चाहिए strategies help के लिए?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We need.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, thank you. So in 10 minutes, I can't give you the 10,000 strategies that I use, but I'll try to give you at least 10. And that 10 might excite you to learn more because I'm an online coach. I coach parents and teachers through my online system where all people across the country join me and learn through my course and directly go and help children. So I make remedial educators or remedial parents. So जो teachers अपनी रेगुलर स्कूल छोड़कर रेमेडियल एजुकेशन के लिए शिफ्ट होना चाहती है, दे जॉइन माय कोर्स, डू द कोर्स एंड शिफ्ट. दोस टीचर्स who want to continue working for a school but want to learn remedial solutions, then they also join my course, learn the solutions and help children. So what are these solutions? I would want you all to read the first word and tell me the meaning of the first word. How do you pronounce the first word? QOBCORU. और इसका मीनिंग क्या है? आप 200 टीचर्स हैं, आई एम श्योर आप में से कम 100 लोगों को इसकी मीनिंग आती होगी. You might be knowing the meaning of the first word. The second word, BADY, and the third word, DABBYQUSHED QRAW. Any one of you can come on the mic and tell me what is the first word और उसका meaning क्या है?
Popcorn.
I'm sorry, I could not hear. How can it be? It's QOB. QOBCORU.
Mirror imaging. That's what a child sees.
But वो तो नहीं है ना, मैंने तो आपको वो बोला है पढ़ने के लिए जो what I'm showing you. I'm showing
You are tricking us.
QOBCORU. Arey, I'm asking you to read what I've got you for on the screen. Simple.
Kopkoru.
Kopkoru. Yeah, exactly. What's Kopkoru? क्या हुआ? सबकी इंग्लिश कम मैंने have I made all of you learning disabled suddenly? मतलब I'm a magician. For you, none of these words make meaning. But
I think, Bala, what you're trying to drive home is this is what happens to children with learning disabilities when they see normal words that you and I see. Perhaps that is what you're trying to drive home.
Absolutely. And I think most of you have understood that. When you write the word popcorn on the board, this is exactly what the child sees. So when you write popcorn, the child is reading it as Kopkoru, and you give him a look. What? What are you reading? And millions of words children read like this. And the second word, as by now you would have deciphered, is baby. And the third sentence is daddy. Can someone of you help me?
Pushed.
Baby's cramp.
The baby's pram.
Thank you. So now you all are reverse learning disabled. मतलब उल्टा दिखाओ तो सीधा पढ़ सकते हो. Brilliant. So what's happening to your brain? As all of you are BA teachers, I'm sure you must have learned how we read. हमारा ब्रेन पढ़ता कैसे है? पढ़ने के उस डिपार्टमेंट को हम बोलते हैं decoding. So I'm not going in detail with this, but that's exactly what your brain was doing when I showed you that word. आप डिकोड करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे और डिकोड में ये 4 एरियाज फंक्शन होते हैं एक साथ. फोनोलॉजिकल प्रोसेसिंग, विजुअल प्रोसेसिंग, प्रोसेसिंग रेट एंड वर्बल शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी. ये चारों चीज जब साथ में काम करते हैं, then we are able to decode a word that goes into our word identification, then word memory, and finally when we are shown a picture of an object, we map it and it stays in our brain. इसलिए जब the minute I say the word cake, in flash of a second you can see the word, see the spelling, and even in fact go to get an image of a cake which you love the most probably. So this happens in flash of a second for all of us, but it doesn't happen for a child with dyslexia. It's a hell of a task for this child to decode. So decoding is the biggest problem for these kids. So let me give you some solutions for reading. Though I said I have many, but I'll be able to share only a few. Unable to read full lines. क्या होता है? हम generally बच्चे को, when we ask them to read, हम बोलते हैं put your finger on the page. Finger भी चला जाता है और page भी चला जाता है. So they don't know where they started. So you must have seen many children, top of the line se start karte, they jump to the second line and suddenly they are found reading the third line. And the whole class laughs at them. Where are you reading? It's not their mistake. My question is, how do I help? The way I have been helping and I found great results is using a ruler. Never use a finger. Ask a child to use a ruler and see, and ask the child to read that line. Also, a colored ruler makes a lot of difference in ability to read for children with dyslexia. I've seen kids unable to read, matlab wo first, last word of the first letter and last letter of the first word and first letter of this next word ko mix karte hain. So you'll see children reading hias, hiasaton, the all. कोई मतलब नहीं है उनको। और हम बोलते हैं तुम्हें दिखता नहीं है, वर्ड के बीच में स्पेस है, नहीं दिखता। हाउ डू यू हेल्प? आप हर फर्स्ट अल्फाबेट को एक डिफरेंट कलर यूज करिए। आपको लगेगा बाप रे बाप इतना मेहनत किया, पर हमेशा नहीं करना पड़ता। Till you get the child's eye to practice that the first you have to start reading independently each word, this help is required. And if you do this for in the early ages, especially in pre-primary or primary, the child overcomes all these problems and they are able to read much normally. You've seen kids confused between left hand and right hand. आपने देखा है, as a principal, I would have this habit of coming to the assembly every day and asking children to ask and answer something, raising their left hand and right hand. I would see many would do it impromptu. Some would look left and right, and some would still wait, confused which is left and which is right. I know of many adults who are still confused between left and right. What do you do? हम सोचते हैं ये तो naturally आ जाता है प्री प्राइमरी में. आना चाहिए, but it doesn't to many. They remain like that forever. So what I did was teach them only one hand. Don't teach the other hand. Make the child do everything with that one hand for 1 month. It's not only a solution for pre-primary. I'm talking it for a senior school kid. I've always worked with teenagers. So कोई 11th standard का बच्चा आके बोलता है मैम मुझे आज भी left right में confusion है. So I tell him 1 महीने तक एक हाथ use करो for maximum things and keep telling your brain, I'll do this only with left hand. Brain starts registering it. You're mastered one hand, you already know the other hand. Strategy number 4. Very common problem which children face is reading big words. याद नहीं रहता और पढ़ नहीं पाते. Big words are a huge challenge for such children. ये टेक्निक बहुत सिंपल है और बहुत पुराना है, लेकिन बहुत emphatically we have not practiced. And that is underline the words, practicing those words first enough number of times, and then asking the child to read the whole paragraph makes all the difference. I don't know about DPS, but many schools use a wonderful word when we start a new chapter. I don't know what you use. The English teacher or the science teacher writes all these words on the board and they call it difficult words or hard words. I have no idea what you use. I'm sure you're using something else. But what I realized, it hits very badly on the psychology of the child because we are announcing it is difficult. तो हम क्यों सिखा रहे हैं जब हम ही बोलते हैं ये difficult है या hard है? Long ago when I used to do that, it's much later I realized, what if I use the word new words? And then on I only use new words because we love new clothes, new dishes, new strategies, new house, new everything. So why not new word? When we say new word, it impacts the brain and say, wow, we're going to learn few more new words. And when we break these words, they are able to learn it confidently. This is one of my favorite strategies which I have used all these years from children of preschool till college. Exam से पहले डर, revision से पहले डर, याद रखना बहुत बड़ा problem है because answers are so big, passages are so huge and cannot remember. So the best technique that has worked for me and has worked for all the teachers who are going training under my system is called mind maps or graphic organizers. They are so amazing. आप कोई भी चैप्टर का ग्राफिक ऑर्गेनाइजर बना सकते हो या माइंड मैप बना सकते हो बिफोर यू स्टार्ट द लेसन एंड यूज इट actively in the classroom. The child can remember the image because they're all visual learners than remembering the sentences. So revising with a graphic organizer helps them to reproduce in the notebook. As I said, मेरे पास इतने सारे strategy होंगे, but I can look at the clock, it says 5:15. So I'll give you one very smart one for writing. Have you seen children hold pencil like this? Or even in fact many more other ways. ये कोई छोटे बच्चे का, it's not limited to small children. I've seen this with senior school kids also. So what do? This looks fancy, but it's a very, very effective tool for all children. In fact, I did it recently for an adult. I do help people who are adult dyslexic because उन्हें पता ही नहीं था at the age of 35 कि उन्हें dyslexia था. जिंदगी निकल गई, they are still struggling. They read my posts in my social media, they read my article somewhere, and they came back to me saying, ma'am, after I read all that, I realized I was suffering with this all my life. I wish somebody had helped me at an early age. I would not have attempted to commit suicide or make mistakes. Probably I would have been at a better place. So I've been helping even adults how they can overcome their problem, though it's difficult, but it's not impossible. So there's a huge population waiting for teachers to help them. One last tip before I switch over to question. Most of us have learned that if kids have bad handwriting, the best way to help them is through 4-line book. I used it for many years. Didn't work for all. It did work for some. But what worked best for me is what I invented myself. And that invention happened by an accident. I was sitting with a child, helping him to improve his writing or get his writing grip well. Did everything, it didn't work. मेरे टेबल पे एक दिन एक ग्राफ पेपर पड़ा था for some other reason. So I just picked up that graph paper and said, hey, this looks interesting. Why not use this to teach writing? मुझे नहीं पता था मैं क्या करने वाली थी, but जो भी मैंने किया, I found that was the best thing I did at that time because वो बच्चा लिखने के लिए बिल्कुल ready नहीं था. And today, this technique has helped thousands of children after that because I share this in all my workshops. So what is it? एक ग्राफ पेपर लीजिए, उसमें कोई भी अल्फाबेट the child is struggling in. It need not be English, it need not be, I mean, it can be maths, English, Hindi, Gujarati, Punjabi, whatever. Ask the child to write it on one full-size graph paper. Take another graph paper, divide it into 4. Write it in the 4 areas. Take another graph paper, divide it further, and write it in the smaller space. ये सब बच्चा खुद लिख रहा है. And the last one, और भी छोटा. So what's the brain doing? Brain is giving instruction to the hand to write it in smaller area. आप सोचिए
Excuse me, ma'am. I think the graph paper is not changed on the slide.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll do. Thank you for that. मैं भूल जाती हूँ बोलते बोलते. I get so engrossed in sharing that I forget this. And this doesn't happen in my Zoom and all that. I don't know why it's happening. Anyway, so now you can see divided into 4 and now 16 and now this I do even for words. This is magic. It has helped so many children to work on their writing. Even class 10th and 11th. So handwriting is nothing to do कि आपको बचपन में आना चाहिए. आप कभी भी किसी भी व्यक्ति की handwriting improve कर सकते हो is what my research says. So that's it. I have lots to share. You can see there are 136 slides, but I can't do that all that now. I would close my session here and request you to ask me questions. Thank you so much. I hope my session was valuable. 20 minutes is like nothing for me. I'm all open to questions.
I think there was a question, Bala, in the chat box. Why use a colored ruler when you want children to read? I think this is what I saw in the chat box.
Because the colored ruler's reflection helps gets the child clarity to read better. And use different color for different child. I mean, ask the child to select. 3-4 ruler use करके देखिए किस में से उसकी reading best होती है. This is a scientific tool. आप Google में जाके इसके बारे में पढ़िए. It's been a lot of research on this ruler. It helps the child better. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. Asta, Nandini, Neeru, Kalpana, Aarti. Thank you so much. I'm looking for questions because ये comments तो आते रहेंगे. मैं ना चाहूं तो भी आपको देना पड़ेगा because आप एक ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म में हो जहां आपको तारीफ करनी पड़ती है. So it doesn't make any difference to me. Thank you so much for that. What I'm looking at is how can I help you?
Bala, you haven't changed.
Did you expect me to?
No.
Thank you for that. It takes me back 22 years that I haven't changed.
Pushpe ma'am, I now know why the two of you hit off so well.
Thank you, Mr. Mukesh. Thank you
Mukesh
so much.
ji, we've been the hardest critics of each other, let me tell you.
Yes. Very true.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Till we gel.
And still we gel.
And we disagree
That's
with
the
a lot
way
of
to-
things. We put our point across and prove each other why we are right the way we think.
Yeah, that's what intellectual honesty is all about.
Thank you so much, but I'm looking out for questions. Am I missing out questions on the chat box?
Well, no, not so far. I'm also scanning it for you, but no
Which
questions so far.
child use the break the pencil always while writing? What's the solution for it? Use crayon. मोटा वाला crayon आता है, इतना मोटा. पहले crayon practice
Altoid one.
दीजिए. Yeah, big bold ones. I'm sure you all have all this. पहले उससे बहुत सारा practice दीजिए. And let me tell you one thing which majority of you will disagree. Writing is not important in life. Writing is the last thing to be taught. कोई मतलब नहीं है राइटिंग का जिंदगी में, वो कभी भी आ जाएगा. आई नो अ चाइल्ड हु डिड नॉट राइट टिल क्लास 10. डिड नॉट राइट मतलब बिल्कुल डिड नॉट राइट, बट 11th में तो उसने जो बोर्ड एग्जाम मतलब 12th में जो बोर्ड एग्जाम लिखा है वो शॉक्ड, विच मीन्स इट कैन बी टॉट एट एनी एज. तो छोटे बच्चे की जान मत लीजिए राइटिंग को लेकर. It doesn't make a difference, and this can be conveyed to the parent over and over again. Okay, but reading is very important. Reading, you should never miss out on reading. How can we help a child who finds difficulty to recall even after a lot of strategies? Kindly go back and check on his emotion, check on his family background, check on his, and go and check his IQ. Maybe he doesn't fall in an IQ where memory works. Maybe he falls in some other IQ. कई बार हमें प्राइमरी तक पता ही नहीं चलता कि ये बच्चा मेंटली रिटार्डेड है, क्योंकि वो बाकी सब चीजों में नॉर्मल दिखता है. So it's very, very important for a counselor and psychologist to have an assessment done for the child. If nothing is wrong, then probably my strategies are not enough. My matlab, the teacher who's using those strategies are not enough. You need to improvise on your strategies. Maybe child needs to be more happy. Sometimes kids are not happy, so they don't produce. Some students know the concept but unable to put on paper. What can be done, especially for chemistry? Chemistry is
Thank you
all
for
about
asking that,
practice.
Adiba.
Chemistry is all about practice, isn't it?
That it is.
A lot of practice. And they don't do enough. We know it. Our teenagers don't do enough. They're all on mobiles. That's the reason. They may not be, it has nothing to do with learning disability anyways. So how can we inform parents about the help child needed? What if they take in a wrong way? You must have come across such instances. Oh yes, I've come across a million of them. So my job as a teacher is to convey to them that there's something which the child needs help in, without a label, without a term, without a terminology. As a teacher, I have no right to call a child by any name until unless a doctor declares it. Even after a doctor declares that this child is falling under this category, I do not have the right to misuse that terminology saying, "Arey, isko to learning disabled hai na, ye to aisa hi rahega." Sorry, it's a crime if you do it. So what do I have to do it? I have to just help. मेरे से क्या मदद हो सकता है? मेरे बच्चे को पेट दर्द है. Will I call him names or will I give him medicine? Will I go and give him ajwain or some alternative to help my child? Will I sit and call names? So this is what we need to understand. You can help the child. You have to counsel the parent. The child needs help. I'm ready to help. But अगर आप ये पता करके आ जाओगे, diagnose करके कि बच्चे को कहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, शायद मैं हेल्प बहुत स्पेसिफिकली दे पाऊंगी. आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट क्वेश्चन कि कहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, रीडिंग में है, राइटिंग में है, मैथ्स में है, तो शायद मैं करेक्ट सोल्यूशन बच्चे को दे पाऊंगी. दैट्स गोइंग टू हेल्प मी टू डायग्नोज एंड गिव द राइट रेमेडी. इट्स लाइक यू गिविंग अ मेडिसिन विदाउट नोइंग द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द चाइल्ड. आई कैन सी वन मोर क्वेश्चन. हाउ टू टैकल अ चाइल्ड, एकता सेठी. How to tackle a child who doesn't reply at all in the class? One word answer, love. उस बच्चे को सिर्फ प्यार चाहिए. ट्राई करके देखिए, 1 महीना आप अनकंडीशनल प्यार दीजिए, वो जवाब तो क्या अपनी कुंडली बता देगा आपको. These are my experiences. How to help a child in a period of 45 minutes when we have 40 students? Thank you for that question, Soma Roy. This question has been asked to me by 1,782 times till now, and I'll answer this question because I've trained more than 30,000 teachers in this country. We don't teach 40 children. Let me tell you this. There are 30% of children who learn on their own. They don't need you. There are another 30% of children who just need a tap on the shoulder and a push. They also can do on their own. We are there only to focus on children who need us. एक डॉक्टर कभी किसी हेल्दी व्यक्ति की देखभाल नहीं करता, तो जो बच्चा ऑलरेडी 90% लाता है उसको मेरा क्या काम है, उसको मेरी कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. I never appreciated a teacher in my school who said this boy got 99. I used to ask the teacher, तुम्हारे पास आया तब क्या था उसका स्कोर? She said 95. पूरे साल मेहनत करके 4% बढ़ाया. What is so great? He could do it himself without you. Thank you very much. Don't come to me with such stories. I was a very strict principal. But yes, if a teacher came to be saying, ma'am, इसके marks 20 थे और आज ये 30 लाया है, you have done an amazing job. 10%, 10 marks तुमने बढ़ाए उसके, which is great. So my job as a teacher, I always feel, is to work on the children who are weak performers, not the toppers. Toppers तो ट्यूशन में भी जाते हैं, ये कोचिंग में जाते हैं, वो कोचिंग में जाते हैं. Why do I break my head? So I don't teach 40 children. I teach 10. If I can teach 10, my class has 100% result. That's it. There are no questions. Bharati, Taryapan, thank you so much. And it's exactly 1 minute to go. And I'm happy I'm still on time. Any last words from any heads of the schools, or anything that you want me to do for your future workshops, or you want me to train your teachers, or you want your teachers to join my program, anything like that, you're welcome.
Mukesh ji, you have a question?
No, I think there are a couple of questions still in the chat box.
Oh yeah, Deepa
There's
Sajdev.
one call. Could you please share any strategies for dyscalculia?
Oh yes.
And there's something about a graph alphabet stroke strategy, if you can share about that.
I already did that. You want me to show the presentation again? Is that what you mean?
I think Deepa wanted it. Maybe she wanted the graph alphabet stroke strategy.
Just give me a sec.
Excuse me, ma'am, not about the graph, but how is that formations for all? If you have a booklet or something which can be shared with us, like how are the formations for all the strokes for all the letters or something, or it is only that one?
Oh, I'm surprised. Are you telling me that I'm sure all teachers know in pre-primary how is each alphabet taught? Are you asking me that?
But I thought about the graph.
So you just have to take a graph paper and do the same thing on a graph paper.
Okay.
Instead of a 4-line book.
Fine.
Oh, that strategy itself is amazing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I'll just go back on. Unfortunately, my presentation closed. Okay, you asked me for maths, so I'll show you something on maths. One game that I play with kids. Maths is so vast. So, have you seen children confused with odd and even number? Especially in pre-primary. So, I'll show you that. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is a very common problem for children in primary also, how to teach odd and even number. जैसे left and right का confusion है कि कोई भी concept में जहाँ दो चीज है, कोई भी ले लेना, the child is confused. So how do you teach this? This was something which happened accidentally with me again. So I did many things, it didn't work. So what worked best for me is what I'm sharing. So I'll always share my best strategies. So I take a chessboard, make these two children play together only with 2 coins, one black and one white. Use a dice. So एक बच्चा odd होता है, दूसरा बच्चा even होता है. So they throw the dice and जिसने odd opt किया है, only when the odd number comes on the top can the child make the move from left to right. And so is the rule for even. So what's the brain doing now? The child who's odd is always waiting for the odd number. So initially he'll ask, ma'am, पहले बताओ odd number होता कौन सा है? So that's where the brain registers that number and waits for that number. So it's a repetitive practice. But actually it's fun because the child is playing the game without his knowledge. He's registering the odd and even very well in his head. So your question would be that the dice has only 6. Yeah, I'm a teacher. I can make a dice of 7 to 12. 12 to 17. किसी चीज का भी dice बना लो, कोई भी number का बना लो. Doesn't make. Anyways, for odd and even, you need only a dice till 20 because after that the kids know it even otherwise. I have many, but you'll have to join my program. Then you will learn a lot.
Yeah. Anupama ji, you have any question for Bala?
No, in fact, there was a question in the Q&A. I think I'll read that out. When you talk about strategies, do you stick to some specific strategy or do you keep changing to see the impact of certain strategy? Can you share any strategy which is an all-time success? This is there in the Q&A section.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Thank you for that, Anupama ji. The answer to the first question is we have to keep creating strategies because each child is unique, each child is different. Number two is all strategies are successful, sometimes for some and sometimes for the other. It's like बच्चे को खाना खिलाना. जब माँ अपने बच्चे को खाना खिलाना करती है, does she stick to one method? कभी टीवी, कभी दादी, कभी पापा, कभी कुछ. She makes sure the food is gone. That's all is the job of a teacher. The content is in your hand. How it reaches a child lies absolutely in your innovation. So the more you're innovator, the more impactful you're on the child. So all the strategies that I've shown has worked miracles with children. You can try them all, not once, not twice, but do it more often. That's why you will see the difference. But you will not waste your time doing the same old strategies which hasn't worked. What the problem is, हमारे पास थोड़े strategy होते हैं, हम वही repeat करते हैं. When it doesn't work, we say बच्चे को नहीं आता. I don't agree. We have to go on changing strategies and the children are successful. The problem is in me as a teacher, not in the child. Never in the child, in fact. Thank you for that question. It was very required. I think I can see a few more questions. How, ma'am, please share how to help a slow writer. Slow writer will need lots of exercises. अगर वो बच्चा छोटा है तो pencil छुड़वा दीजिए. Ask him to take crayons and do a lot of crayon work. So pre-primary में, if I am allowed to declare this, then I would say no pencils in pre-primary. कभी नहीं देना चाहिए. I am dead against it. Only crayon, crayon, crayon. And writing should start from class 1. Nothing required before that. Children all write well, even after that also. So my way is lots of exercises, hand exercises, and lots of crayon work. Children write. All children write. Children who do one sentence of a type correct, but the similar question wrong. What is the reason? I don't know. I understood this question. Children who do one sentence of a type
Grammar,
correct.
I mean to say, ma'am. In grammar, when we give grammar exercises, so there's just one situation that is given. Child will do that very sentence correctly, but the next sentence of the same type he is not able to do.
Practice. Grammar and maths are the same. It has nothing to do with dyslexia, learning disability. It's just a matter of practice. Nothing else. एक रोटी मेरी गोल बनती है, दूसरी गोल नहीं बनती है. It's as simple as that. Please share what to do if the child is a slow writer. How can we help if a child struggles with language to express concepts on paper? A child struggles with language because of two reasons. The child doesn't have a good listening environment. That means the teachers in the classroom all the time don't speak English or they don't get to hear English. So language, whatever language it is, English or Hindi or Punjabi, Marathi, whatever we're expecting the child to write, the languages all of you will know is learned through 4 methods, L, S, R, W. So अगर उसकी L और S और R excellent है, तो W automatically excellent होगा, because we can write well only if we have good vocabulary, good grammar, and that comes only by listening and reading. So again, the gap is in us. How to help children of 6th and 7th when they find it difficult to comprehend? Please go back to basics. Start from there. They will improve. Show them pictures and ask them to perform. Pictures are the best way to improve comprehension, because sometimes they can't imagine what is written. Not everybody can imagine what is written. So visual support changes the meaning for the child. I'm interested in a few more trainings for this. Smita, if your institution permits me to share my number or my email ID, I would love to share it with the permission of your principal. You're welcome to join my community. There are hundreds of teachers across the country who are taking training and helping and making good money. Why do I say this? Because I teach people how to start your own remedial centers offline and online. That's my mission. I'm on a mission to help 100,000 teachers and parents. So I want all of them to become entrepreneurs. So they are all leaving jobs. I'm a threat to many schools. They're leaving jobs, starting their own centers and making good money. Why do I say good money? Because a remedial session has a fixed price. It's not like tuition. Tuition में आपको महीने में 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 मिलता है. Remedial session में 200 रुपए से 2,000 आप कमा सकते हो per session, depending on how good you are. And I'm on a mission to make excellent teachers. So I make sure they earn well.
Please go ahead and share the number. A lot of them will want it.
Thank you. So how do I share? Can I just say it? Or
just type it on the chat box, or we can write it down. Yes.
Yeah, I'll chat. True.
I'm so extremely sorry. I have very unstable connection today. So, Bala, I regret that we've not been able to do justice to the knowledge that you could have shared with us. We've fallen short on time, and I'm sure we would look for sessions in the future where you are able to, address our teachers and take this communication and sharing of knowledge further. So every teacher who, according to the new NEP, must be self-equipped to support and help out these children who are in the inclusive section. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure having you. And I'm sure all the teachers have had a lot of takeaways and learnings today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pushpi. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukesh, Madam Anupama, all of you for giving me this opportunity to touch 200 more lives. आप कितनों के हेल्प करोगे मुझे पता नहीं, पर आपका देखने का नजरिया जरूर आज से बदल जाएगा. Thank you so much for that.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.